is parshat Nasur. It's not a problem, but next week we're going to read Nasur again. Because this Shabbat is Shavouot, so you don't read the parsha of the week, you read Shavouot. So we have for Nasur another chance for next week. But one of the customs that we have a Shavouot by night, that is that, men, thank God ladies are exempt. They're lucky. They have to stay up the entire night and learn. Tomorrow night, you're going to stay up till the morning, and then afterwards we're going to daven Shachrit. The custom in Chabad was, the Lubavitcher didn't like it, that people pray very tired. Actually, halacha says if you stay up the whole night, you got to keep yourself strong and not fall asleep during prayers. So the Chabad custom is at 4 o'clock in the morning when they finish, they go to bed, they pray at 10 o'clock, like the usual custom of Chabad, davening at 10 in the morning. But anyways, no matter what the custom of the prayers are, we stay up the entire night. What's the reason that we stay up the entire night learning? So there's many reasons given. We're going to discuss the reason which is brought down in Shulchan Aruch. The reason which is brought is that, the Jews went to sleep the night before Shavouot. They knew they were going to receive the 10 Commandments on the day of Shavouot. They went to sleep. Now the Medrash gives a very, very strange reason. Honestly, if you look at the surface, it doesn't make any sense. It says because night of Shavouot is very short and the sleep is very sweet. So the Jews went to sleep. Usually if the night is very short, you don't go to sleep. Let's say if you have a flight in 2 hours, now you don't go to sleep. You want to stay up, you sleep in the airplane. Anyway, so it says the night was short and then the sleep is very sweet, they went to sleep. The Medrash adds another strange thing, that even the mosquitoes didn't bite them. Seemingly they were in the desert, there are a lot of mosquitoes around, so the mosquitoes didn't bite them either. So then the next day when God came to give the 10 Commandments, he was upset. There's actually a verse in Yeshaya, book of Isaiah, that God says, Madua bati ve'enish, I came, there was no person to receive me. Karati ve'en one, I called, nobody answered me. So according to this Medrash, that's why God made the lightnings and all this stuff to actually wake the Jews up. So because they made a mistake and God was upset, we stayed up the entire night to fix the mistake that they had. Isn't this funny? The seventh night of Pesach, we stay up because the Jews stayed up and they went through the Red Sea. So because they stayed up, we stay up. Here they went to sleep, you have to stay up. No matter what, the rabbis find an excuse to stay up and study. So I'm not gonna get. So anyways, don't worry about that. No matter what, you have to stay up. But for Shavuot, we have to stay up because they made a mistake, they went to sleep. Now, everything in the Torah actually has a lesson for us. Especially when the Torah says something disgraceful about human beings. God really doesn't like to say anything bad about any human being. How much more so Jewish people? So obviously, if there's such a thing said, it has to teach us a lesson. If there's something negative about the Jews. We actually find something interesting, that the Torah doesn't even say something negative about animals. Anybody knows where we learned that from? They try to avoid saying negative things about even animals. How much more? So the story with Noah, when God told Noah to take 7 pairs of kosher animals, so it says, Mina behema hatahura, from animals that are tahur. Now you would imagine, for talking about non-kosher animals, the Torah would say take 1 pair from behema hatsemeya, which are tameh. Tameh means non-kosher. But the Torah doesn't say that. The Torah uses a very long word. Mina behema asher einena tahura, which is not tahur. They use 13 letters instead of 5 letters. Hatzmeya is 5 letters. Yeah, exactly. But he uses 13 letters. Asher einena tahura. Why did the Torah use such long words? So the Medrash says, because the Gemara says, because the Torah doesn't want to say something negative even about animals. The word hatzmeya is not a nice word. So you say Asher Enena Torah, which is not pure. At least you're not saying he's unclean, you're just saying he's not pure. You don't say the word Tameh. So when it comes to a human being, especially to the Jewish people, obviously God wouldn't say or wouldn't put in Shulchan Aruch something which is negative, but if the Torah says something negative, obviously has a great lesson for us. Although the lesson is that you have to stay up, but you have to, so there is a clear lesson, you got to stay up the whole night. But there's something more, it says the night is short, the sleep is very sweet. Even the mosquitoes didn't bite them. All these little things have to have a lesson for us. I hope it's not getting too boring, but let's see exactly what we learn from this. But let's make the question bigger. How could the Jews go to sleep? You see, what happens is when the Jews, why do we count Sfirat HaOmer now? So there's actually one of the great commentators, his name is Rabbeinu Nissim. He lived close to 1,000, maybe 900 years ago. So he writes on the end of the Gemara Pesachim that the reason why we count Sfirat HaOmer is for the same reason that our fathers counted. When they came out of Egypt, Moshe told them, you're going to receive the Torah around 50 days. The Jews were so excited, they started counting. 1 day passed, 2 days passed, 3 days passed. They're very, very excited. So until they came, to Matan Torah the night before, they were definitely more excited. If they were excited 50 days before, 51 days before, definitely the night before, they were very excited too. So how could they forget and go to sleep? It doesn't make sense. If you're excited about something, right before receiving it, you can't forget and go to sleep. Actually, the question is even bigger. If you look in Kabbalistic books, actually, the Or HaChaim brings it down. The Jews, when they were in Egypt, they were in 49 levels of impurity. They couldn't go to the 50th level. Because if they would have gone, there would be no hope for that. Now, why did I have to go to 49 levels of impurity? So the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, because you have godly sparks in every level. So the Jews went to the first level of impurity, second level, third level, up to 49. And any godly sparks that were there, they elevated it. They took it out with them from Egypt. And I'm saying it's like you have gold mixed with mud. You got to separate the gold from the mud. That's to take those godly sparks out. But they wouldn't be able to go to the 50th level of impurity because that level was too strong. Not only they wouldn't be able to take out the godly sparks in there, they would actually become impure themselves. Or HaChaim HaKadosh goes further. Before Mashiach comes, we will go to the 50th level of impurity. But because we have received the Torah, we are able to elevate it, the godly sparks. And I really think he was talking about our generation. Have you ever seen a more messed up generation? I'm not talking about Jews. I'm saying in the world, right? You don't know if you're a man, you're a woman. You know what I'm saying? They even actually encourage you to change your gender. There's no good or bad. I'm saying everything is like messed up. Right? And they encourage kids under age to go under, whatever, 18, to go do whatever they want with their bodies. They start thinking, if you change your gender, maybe a man could go to a bathroom of a woman if he feels like a woman, right? They go around, I did my exchange. I feel like a woman. People call me a woman, right? My question is, would you feel good, Mr. Aziz, if says, you're really a man? Isn't that an insult? Of course you are. I don't have to tell you. So these guys go around, they change their gender and saying, everybody calls me a woman. Why do you need somebody else to call you a woman if you're a woman? It's like really messed up. Again, I'm not judging, but definitely you're in the 50th level of impurity. But we'll come out of it. Thank God. The Torah was given, Mashiach is going to come, we're going to go out of it. So the Jews were in Egypt. This was just a little parenthesis in between. The Jews came out of the 49 levels of impurity. Which level did they get into? 0. The 49 days that they were counting, they went one level higher. They went to level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Is Mashiach texting you guys or something? If Mashiach texts you, let me know. It's coming. I know it's coming. Anyway, so they got to level 49 before receiving the Torah. So could you imagine when they were in level 0? That's such a strong desire for the Torah. So when they got to 49th level of holiness, because every day they went one level higher, of course they had a great desire for the Torah. How could they go to sleep the night before? It doesn't make sense. So from here, the commentators say we have to say they didn't go to sleep because they forgot about receiving of the Torah. They actually thought going to sleep is the best preparation for receiving of the Ten Commandments. As we're going to discuss it soon why. And one of the proofs to that is, imagine somebody's supposed to stay up. So why would God make a miracle that the mosquitoes shouldn't bite them? If they were wrong for going to sleep, so God should actually send double mosquitoes to bite them. From the fact that seemingly a miracle happened that the mosquitoes didn't bite them, you must say that it was actually a good thing in their mind. It was a positive thing that went to sleep. So from these two questions, 50 days before, that's such a strong desire for the Torah, especially they went from level 0 to level 49 in understanding of godliness, their desire for Torah was a lot stronger. They didn't go to sleep because they forgot about it. But actually they had, in their mind, this was a positive thing to do. So let's guys actually go through this. You see what happens is, it says in book of Tanya, that's one of the first basic books of Chabad. It says, before a neshama comes down to this world, he's in Gan Eden, next to God. His love and fear of God is a lot more than when the neshama comes to the physical body. By us, obviously. We feel our physical needs more than our spiritual needs. Right? If I don't eat food and I'm hungry, it bothers me more than if I don't study Torah one day. Right? Because we're more close to the physical world. So obviously when we were just a soul, you were in Gan Eden, definitely our love of God was a lot stronger. Now let's discuss tzaddikim, righteous people. Even though righteous people, their main life is their spiritual life, nevertheless, their love of God in Gan Eden was a lot more. Because they didn't have the limitations of the body. What happens when a person goes to sleep, it's not a waste of time. Especially, according to the Jewish philosophy, going to sleep is a positive thing if we don't oversleep. A person goes to sleep, the neshama leaves his body and he gets reconnected to God and he gets energized for the next day. Sleeping is not a waste of time. Again, unless we oversleep. It's actually part of serving God. Now what happens is, because the neshama leaves the limitation of the body, if somebody really does a lot of positive things, let's say somebody is very serious learner, he sits and learns, 10, 15 hours a day, if you find such a person, right? So then when he goes to sleep, actually questions that he had in the Torah during the day, they get revealed to him at night when he goes to sleep. He dreams about the answers. And then when he wakes up, he's going to remember it. Now, simple question. Why couldn't he figure it out when he was up? Why does he have to go to sleep to remember it? So it says, in Jewish books, because when he's up, his neshama is limited to the limitations of the body. So he doesn't have that great understanding. When he leaves the body and he gets closer to God, he has a higher understanding of the Torah. So if he really works very hard during the day to study, he actually reveals greater secrets to him while he's sleeping. And when he wakes up, it's already in his subconscious, so he remembers it. So we see from here, that's why actually many people used to go to sleep with their questions and they got the answer. There's actually a story with the Arizal. He's a master of Kabbalah, right? Nobody messes with him. When it comes to Kabbalah, he's the master. So anyways, he used to go to sleep every Shabbat afternoon for an hour or two. His lips used to move. So one of his students, Chaim Vital, he saw him one time sleeping, his lips were moving, so he went to listen to what he's saying. He couldn't figure it out. So he asked the Arizal after he woke up, my master, what were you saying when you were sleeping? So he says, when I go to sleep, those secrets, about the spiritual world, about God, is revealed to me, and that's what he was probably saying. He says, it takes me 80 years to write it if I'm going to use a pen to write. So what it was revealed to him during the 2 hours of sleep on Friday afternoon, on Shabbat afternoon, it would take him 80 years to write. So you see how much was revealed to him during those 2 hours. Because he was a very, very godly man. So whatever he studied during the day, right, whatever he couldn't reach when he was up, when he went to bed, he slept, his neshama received it. Is that clear so far? It was very, very, very abstract for us. But I'm sure if you ask anybody that went to yeshiva many times, they really learn very hard. At night, they dream about their learning. It's better than having nightmares. Definitely. Nightmares are no good. By the way, a person, whatever he thinks about during the day, many times he dreams about it at night. It actually has also a ramification in halacha. I'm going to get off subject. Imagine somebody has a dream that his teeth fell. It's a very, very bad sign. Whatever, at least in those, they would fast for it. What happens? You went to a dentist, you had a bad day, he was drilling your teeth, and you have a dream about your tooth falling out. That dream is nonsense, because you were thinking about it during the day. So whatever person thinks about actually dreams at night. So if he studies a lot of Torah during the day, he reaches a much higher level. This answers the question why the Jews went to sleep. You see, the reason why they went to sleep is not because they forgot about the Ten Commandments. They decided if we're going to stay up and learn as much as we can, we're not going to reach the highest level, because the neshama is limited to the body. We're going to have some limits. But if you're going to go to sleep, the neshama is going to reach a much higher level. After 49 days of working on ourselves, becoming godly people, we're going to reach even a higher level. And this is the meaning of the Medrash. It says they went to sleep because the night of Shavouot is very short. You all know that night doesn't only mean night. It means the darkness and absence of godliness. That's what night shows. There's no light, right? Night is when there's no light of God. So they said after 49 days of studying and reaching very high levels, so the darkness, the absence of godliness is very little. We become almost godly. That's why the sleep is very sweet. We don't mean the physical sleep. It means that what they're going to accomplish while they sleep, they're going to reach the highest level of godliness. It's a very, very sweet thing. And then when the mosquitoes didn't bite them, it was no miracle. If a person is a godly person, the animals cannot attack him because they see the image of God on his face. They're afraid to attack him. To prove that, there's actually two stories. One of them, I'm sure you all know, or most of us know. The story is actually in the book of Daniel. Daniel was one of our prophets. As a child, he was taken by Nebuchadnezzar, as Nebuchadnezzar, whatever his name was. He was the emperor of Babylonia. So he takes him as a child to Babel. Now Nebuchadnezzar gets killed, he dies, and his grandson take over. The Persian Empire comes and they destroy Babylonia. That's Cyrus, Kurosh. And Darius, Daryavish, they actually conquer it. And then the people were very jealous of Daniel because he was actually the advisor to King Darius. So they make up a new rule. They come to Darius and they say, you're a god. You're ruling all over the entire world. Nobody's allowed to pray to anyone except you. And they made this rule to catch Daniel because they knew Daniel prays 3 times a day to God. So he passes that law and Daniel, is caught that's praying to God. And then it was too late. It was very deep. They threw him into a lion's den. That was their custom. That's how they killed people. They used to starve the lions for a couple of days in a very lowly den pit and then throw the criminals in their rule inside the pit. So when Daniel was thrown, these lions became like, dogs, like pets. And they were actually, they were licking his feet. There was another story with Or HaChaim HaKadosh. He lived like 400 years ago, almost. He was right before the Baal Shem Tov. He was a Sephardic Kabbalist. He used to make jewelry. So he worked for a Muslim, in Turkey that was under the rulership of the Ottomans. They're very friendly with Jews, by the way. So he used to make, come and make rings, whatever, gold stuff. And the daughter of the king was getting married. And he came to this jeweler, make these things for my daughter's wedding. Obviously, the one that was making it was Or HaChaim. The problem with Or HaChaim HaKadosh was that he only worked to make enough money for a few months. He went and studied. When he had no more money, he used to come back to work. So he never finished the work. And he told the boss, I'm not coming, get somebody else. I just work enough to make money to be able to study Torah for many months. So the day of the wedding comes, and the jewelry is not ready. So the king gets very angry. He's about to kill this jeweler. And he says, it's not my fault. This Jew didn't come to work. So the real Or HaChaim HaKadosh, they go to his house, they catch him. And he says, give me a minute to bring my tefillin. I wanted to bring his tefillin with him. So obviously these guys say you're retarded, I'm sorry, bad word I used. He says you're not normal. Because by the time you're going to hit the floor where the lions are, you're going to get ripped up, your tefillin wouldn't help. Anyways, he puts on his tefillin and he goes, when they throw him into the pit, again, these lions don't attack him. So the emperor takes him out. He says, wow, you're a godly man, and he lets him go. But again, why did these miracles really happen? So they say it's not really a miracle. An animal, saying every one of us have a source in the spiritual world. Even the animals have it. So and that's the name mazal. That's what a mazal is. It means your spiritual counterpart. So really the mazal of the animal sees what a person is. If he's a righteous man and he has a godly image, they're scared to attack him. That's what happened to our fathers when they went to sleep. They were in such a high level that the mosquitoes couldn't bite them. So it was no miracle. They were such holy people. So now the question is backwards. So they had actually good reason to go to bed. They wanted to reach the higher levels. Why was God upset at them? It looks like God is very religious to find your faults. Isn't that it? I hope not. I don't think so. I'm just kidding. God looks at positive things of every human being. But honestly, they must have done something wrong in the eyes of God that God was upset, and He makes the lightning to wake them up. And we're staying up to fix the mistake that they made. What kind of a mistake was there? So see what happens is there's actually another, this is I think very important to know, people. It's one of the basics of Hasidic philosophy. If you study the Torah, we know that the Torah was kept even before it was given by our father, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Not that they had the Torah, but actually God taught it to them. Like, for example, when the three guests come to see Abraham, right? So then Abraham tells Sarah, please go make some matzah, some bread. Why did they make matzah for? It was Passover. So he made matzah. The Torah says, God speaks to Isaac and he says, I love your father Abraham because he listened to my commandments. And he says, Vaishmur Mishmarti. Mishmaret means what the rabbis actually added. So our rabbis know that actually even things that in the future were given by rabbis, they knew about it, they kept it. So the concept of Torah existed before. Right? So what's the big deal about giving up the Torah? Why are we so excited? God makes lightning, as if like something new came to the world. The Torah was there before, in an oral way, it wasn't written. So when God gave us the Torah, it was nothing new. What's the excitement? So they say there's actually a big difference the way Abraham kept the commandments and the way we keep it. When Abraham kept the commandments, whatever spirituality he revealed, it was only revealed in the spiritual world. The physical world did not change. One of the examples, that the Zohar brings is how did Jacob, our father, put on tefillin. It's a very strange Zohar. The story when he used to put the sticks in the running waters, right? When he had, the sheep's becoming pregnant. So he used to make the sticks, used to peel them and had like spots on them. So when the sheep used to, mate, so whatever image, the female sheep saw, that was the wood with little dots on it. So the kids came out with dots too. So that was his reward. Anyways, the Zohar says that's how he used to put on tefillin too. He had an additional intention. Whatever it was, when he used to put these woods in the running waters, he would put on tefillin. I have a question to ask you. Did those sticks become holy? Or it was just a piece of stick after he finished having his intention of tefillin? It was nothing holy. Why? Because since he wasn't commanded to keep the Torah, you can't bring godliness into a physical world. Just like you can't put your mind in a cup. You can't put something spiritual in something physical. So at that time, whatever mitzvot they did, they became more spiritual people. Maybe they revealed more godliness in the godly world, but the physical world didn't change. Once God gave us the Torah at Matan Torah, He came on Har Sinai. So God said, I'm going to put a special energy in the mitzvot. When the Jews do my commandments, they actually transform the physical world into a spiritual world. The proof is everybody knows the halakha. What happens if, God forbid, you're in a synagogue and a Sefer Torah falls on the floor? What's the halakha? People that saw it falling down, they have to fast. If you see a Sefer Torah falling, you have to fast. For sure, the guy that fell from his hands. Imagine I'm putting on tefillin and my hand slips and the tefillin falls on the floor without a cover, completely uncovered. The black box falls on the floor. So I have to fast. If I can't fast, I have to give money of 3 meals today. I guess it's like $20, $25, whatever. You have to ask Biden. He knows how much the kosher food became more expensive. It used to be once upon a time $12. Like he used to get the hot dog sandwich for $2, $3. I guess now it's like what, $6.99, $8.99? I'm saying a hot dog. The kosher hot dog is like $10. So I guess you got to give $30 if you want to pay for 3 meals. There's no place that you buy one and you get 50% off for the second one. So I don't know. At any rate, why is that really? Because when a sofer writes a Sefer Torah and he puts the ink on the parchment, so godliness actually penetrates through that. It becomes a holy thing. When your hand puts on tefillin, it's not the same hand as before that didn't put on tefillin. Honestly, when the girls use their fingers to light Shavouot candles, those fingers are transformed. There's actually a custom, when somebody, tzaddikim, when they used to pass away, they would ask to make their coffin from the table that they studied Torah on it, or the Shabbat table that actually fed for poor people. When the Lubavitch Rebbe died, they took one of his tables, I don't know what he used it for, and they made his coffin for him. Because he mentioned in one of his lectures one time. But anyways, why is that? Because when you study Torah on a table, actually, the table is transformed. So that's the difference. After the Torah was given, when you do a mitzvah, obviously, God gave us the power. You can transform the physical world into a godly world. And we're going to see the effect after Mashiach will come. Right now, we don't see it. It's in a very hidden way. But again, it's real. To understand how real it is, one of the examples, that they bring in Hasidic philosophy, I guess Persian parents love to do that. They have a lot of money, they put in a bank account, but they say you can't touch it till you get married. Right? When you get married, you could have the money. I'm afraid you're going to waste it before you get married. Right? So I'm just kidding. It's not only Persian parents. So imagine somebody's going to say, I don't have the money. What is it worth? I'm not married yet, so I have no money. But that's very foolish. The money is there. You just don't have access to it till you get married. But the money is yours. So same thing when we do mitzvot, obviously the world is transformed, but we just don't see it yet. When Mashiach will come, that transformation will be seen. So what we're doing commandments and elevating the world, it's a real thing. So the purpose of the Torah is not just to make the spiritual world more spiritual. It's to actually transform this physical world into a godly world. And I tell you, people that are in the professional world or they're in the business, in a certain aspect, they actually bring godliness to the lowest levels of the world that teachers and people that are in kollel, they can't do it. I'm not making fun of kollel. However, we should all be able to learn in kollel. I'm not saying that. But again, somebody that's in the kollel, what does he do? He does a tremendous job and he teaches Torah to other people. So it's elevating human beings or is bringing more holiness in a place of kollel, which is already holy. Imagine a guy opens up a business in the middle of downtown, but he runs his business the way God wants. Doesn't work on Shabbat, doesn't cheat the customers. What are you doing? You're bringing godliness in the lowest places, where you have criminals, you have cheaters. You know what I'm saying? And they say, wow, why is this guy so different? Why is he so honest? Because he's bringing God into his business. He's doing it the way God wants. So you're actually bringing godliness, you're transforming the darkest places that teachers don't do. And it's not by coincidence that most Jews are actually professionals in the business world. You're not just there to make money, that too, but you're there to bring godliness into those places. That's the merit that you have. That teachers and whatever, those type of people don't have it directly. So that explains why God was upset at the Jews, because they knew when they received the Torah, the purpose of the Torah is to elevate the physical body, to elevate the world, not to separate the neshama from the physical world. So the way to prepare for Matan Torah, the way to prepare for receiving of the Torah has to be the same way too. Yeah, when they went to bed, they got to a higher level spiritually, but the body was left. The body wasn't elevated. And they should have realized it. My question is, why didn't Moshe tell them that? I don't know. I never found an answer to it. Moshe knew that. So told them, wake up, where are you going to sleep? I don't have an answer to that. But that's why God was upset. But what lesson do we learn from these people? You see, there's two styles of people. And actually, I have a very big question on this. When sometimes you go and you make somebody more religious, right? So they go to yeshiva. What happens when they come back? They're just thinking to become more perfect on their own, right? Before, they didn't put on tefillin, they didn't do anything. So the guy goes and teaches them, they become religious. Once they come back, they're only interested to go and learn Torah on their own. They have no time to waste time for other people. They want to make themselves perfect, right? That's like, going to sleep. I don't care about the world around me. He's not exactly sleeping. He's making himself holier, but he's not actually going and elevating the dark places of the world. There's another way that besides making myself perfect, if I see another Jewish person, another human being, that really there's darkness by him, he's not yet, fully connected. Every Jew is connected, by the way, but we could be more connected. So whether if I might think, I'm wasting my time. What's the point for me to go put my time for somebody else? But again, isn't that the purpose? To bring godliness to the darkest places of the world? We even have a mission to teach to the non-Jews the 7 commandments. Our job is not to convert them, no. But let's say if you can help even a non-Jew, the Torah says you got to help them. If a non-Jew is poor, you got to feed him. The Torah is not prejudiced. And actually, our obligation is to teach them the 7 commandments that go in her. You know, one of the things that we do when we go to public schools, right? So we give a lot of free food. It doesn't really cost us anything. You know, people have a lot of food, they donate it. So you have these, you know, guys coming, Rabbi, is that really free? No, you're not charging? I see there's one obligation, you got to thank God. So could you imagine all these guys, Christians or Muslims, that like, oh, thank you, God. Again, our job is to remind them about God too. So to go and say, you know what, I don't care about the world around me. I just care about myself. I'm going to save myself. This is not the purpose of Matan Torah. Matan Torah was given to bring the light of Torah to every corner of the world. And actually today is very easy. You have the internet, you have YouTube. It's not like the olden days, you know, they had to write books and mail it or to write on newspapers. You could even drive in your car and just, you know, listen and actually bring godliness wherever you can. So that's what we learn from Matan Torah, not to forget about the dark sides of the world, not to forget about our brothers and sisters who are not fully connected yet. Our job is to bring godliness everywhere. So now that we know this, you guys meet people that I never meet, whether it's in college or it's at your works. You know, a little bit of an aleph or a bet, teach it to them. And you bring light in the places that God actually wants us to bring. Anyways, that was, if you have any questions, please ask right away. No questions? No questions. So let's go to the next part, people. I'm sure you know about this. I'm going to finish in 4 or 5 minutes. I know I talked too much tonight. You know, when Shavouot comes, it's actually a very great time for children. You're still the new generation. You're not married yet. But again, you guys are the single people. You're the younger ones. You're the future generation. You know, when God wanted to give the Torah, he was hesitant. There's many midrashim. He didn't like any fights. So he didn't want to give the Torah to the Jews because Jews always fight. Until they came in front of Har Sinai, so they got into peace. They were not fighting anymore. But there's another midrash that says different. Imagine you got a diamond, right? And you want to donate it to an organization. If they're not going to take care of it, they're going to just abuse it. You're not going to give it to them. You're going to give it to somebody that's going to cherish that priceless diamond. So now God wanted to give us the Torah, his book. So it comes to the Jews and they say, yeah, we want to take your Torah. So it says, what's my guarantee that you're going to study the Torah? It's not going to just be left on a shelf. So the Jews are thinking, coming with some ideas. They say, you know what? Our fathers will be the guarantors to study Torah. God didn't accept that. Because once the fathers pass away after 120 years, there'll be no generation. Have you ever seen some synagogues that have a lot of members? Thank God it's changing now. But then the new kids don't go to the shul. Just the older people go. And after a while, they close down. Because the old generation just passes away. So God says, I don't accept your fathers being the guarantors. Because once they pass away, the Torah will not stay. So he said, you know what? Okay, not our fathers, our rabbis will guarantee that the Torah will continue. God wasn't happy either. How many percentage of people are rabbis that they really sit and study? Not too many. I don't think so. Not even 1%. I really don't know. Most people are in the professional world. So the Jews had to come with a new idea that they guarantee the Torah is going to continue. They said our children are our guarantors. Basically, every parent took upon himself to teach the Torah to the next generation. Honestly, we are Jewish today because our parents taught it to us, or they sent us to a Jewish school. Doesn't matter if they did it personally or they sent, they paid for it. But honestly, the reason why Judaism is continuing because the parents gave it to the children. The moment God heard that, said the children are the guarantors. I'm going to give them the Torah, no problem, because it will continue. So when Shavouot comes, again, you guys are not parents yet. Your parents gave you the Torah, but Be'ezrat Hashem, in a few years when you get married, so we have taken upon ourselves to give the Torah to the next generation. And I'm sure we're going to be successful. It's a very beautiful generation. We're in the darkest times of history. At the same time, we're struggling and we're really working hard to be connected to God. And once we're connected to God, we could give the Torah to the next generation. Be'ezrat Hashem, with the coming of Mashiach, you're going to see God's revelation all over.